Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today I'm going to go over a common issue with the Kickstarter on the AT1 CT-1 2s, 3s, and probably into 74, 5, and 6 on the DT1 125 Yamahas. I believe that Kickstarter is used all the way through the DT125 series. It's a common issue, and I'm going to show you what causes it and what you can do to fix it. Okay guys, this is the side cover, or the side case. This one is from a CT1. It's had some abuse here, as you can see, some chewing up in this area here. That looks to be the extent of that, actually. Everything else looks pretty good shape. But what I'm referring to on the Kickstarter is this little issue right here. This comes up on just about all of them I open up, and it's a very common issue, and it's really caused more by the operator than a problem with Yamaha's design. Let me show you here. This is the shaft that come out of this, and this is the stop right here, and you can see that this has been getting into here for a while. It was right to there, and then later on it went to there, and you can see that it's even been up to here a time or two. And what happens is it ends up getting stuck up here like this. Well, there's a couple things going on here. The first thing is that if you mark the end of this shaft, and you have to remember your foot peg is right down here. So as the Kickstarter comes down like this, it's going to go into the Kickstarter, or into the foot peg to stop it. The lever is going to hit it. Okay, this is not doing that, and what's happening is when the engine starts, people get off of the Kickstarter and it slams back. And what that does is it eventually causes this that's just pinned on here to move. And that's what's happened here. This is up into this area before the foot peg stops it. And it's moved more than that, but that seems to be the common place, because you can see this is just about straight down from where it starts at the stop there. Now, this is another one off another bike that's in better shape. And again, if we mark this right there, and it's all the way up against the stop, and you come down to where this is straight down, see, it doesn't get into it. So that proves the point that this piece is sliding on here. Now you can also tell that there's a couple different designs here. And I think there's even another design. This is the one I see the most of. This is a pretty early one, I believe. And you can even see, I don't know that you will be able to or not, but this area right here, it's been impacted very hard by that lever that's on the kick shaft. This right here, it's come up there and hit that very hard, and that is that's not going to hurt anything. I don't think you're ever going to break this here, and this is all pretty thick all the way through here. But what happens is this thing ends up getting, you kick it and it gets stuck up here, and it can make all kinds of racket. But the problem, the way to keep this from happening to start with, is when you kick this down like this, it starts. Don't immediately just let that flang up here. Just bring it up slowly with your foot until it's back up to the rest position. Let me show you over on the bike. Okay, I've got the 175 here. You can see here that I put a mark right here just like I did on the others. And as you kick this down, when it gets to the foot peg, you can see that the mark is just about at the bottom here, just like I was showing you earlier. It won't go any further than that. But what happens is it starts and people allow this. And that's what's causing the issue. That's hitting that. If you've kicked this thing over and it started, just let it come back up. That's what you have to do to keep from, to eliminate that issue to start with. Now, what do you do if you have a problem like that and these parts are getting hard to find? Well, we're gonna try something today. I've kind of over the years been able to have enough parts, but there's still a few out there. I just went and looked on eBay again, and you can pick them up for 20-30 bucks. There's some on there for over 100, but I sure wouldn't pay that for them. But what I'm going to try to do is move that lever back to where it's supposed to be, and then we're going to weld it. That's my intent. So let me do a little playing around here with it, and I'll bring you back. Okay, let me show you a little bit of what my plan is. What I think is that these holes for the spring are put in the same position on all the shafts, probably in relation to how this is. I'm not real sure, or it may be in this position. But that's how I'm going to look at it. And if you can tell here, if I line both of these shafts up with the holes up like this, see the position of this lever here versus this one? This one may have slipped a little bit, but it hasn't slipped like this one has. And like I said, this one is an earlier one. What I'm going to try to do is move this one back to the position more like this one. Even though these are made different, I'm just going to use this leading edge right here. And if I'm successful at that, then we're going to weld it on the back side. So let me get over here and see if I can do something with this. Okay, I don't know, got something going on with the camera. I don't know what I've got and what I don't, so I'm just going to redo this. What I've got is I've taken this over to the vise, put it in a brass jaw, and got it as tight as I could and tried to tap it to move it. And it won't move. So what I'm going to try to do is take it over to the press, and I've got a piece of tubing here that I've made that would fit just right over the gear there, and I'm going to try to press it off and then move it to where I want it and press it back on. And what I've done here is I put a file mark on it right here and right here on the end of the shaft. and that shows presently where it is. So let me get over to the press and see if I can get this off, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've marked on here the direction I need this to go, and I've got it set up here in the press, and let's just see if I'm going to be able to get it off there. I believe that's it. Yep. All right. So now we'll figure out where we need it to, how we need it to go back on, and then we'll bring it back over and press it back on. Okay, I've got it moved where I think I need it, and then we'll see if it'll go back on. And there we are. And with our holes in about the same place, I think we're all right. Okay, I've got it pressed back on, and what you'll notice here, I didn't pick up on this until I'd done it already, but look at the shaft size in here versus this one. This is a lot smaller, so they've increased the diameter to help give more resistance to that spinning. Now, I'm just about where I need to be, I believe. It's close enough. If you line the two holes up on top here, these areas right here, don't think you're seeing it. Okay, if you got these holes to the top, this area here and this area here are about the same. Now let me show you what we've did. Here is the scribe mark, the file mark that I put on it. And then here it is here. So we've moved this probably almost a quarter of a turn. Not quite, but almost. That's what we've come up with. So now I'm going to get this cleaned up, and we're going to put a weld along the back side here. And that should stop that. But this evidently, I believe this is, I've seen maybe one of these recently. You know, probably did when I was younger working on these, but as of the last few years that I've been messing with them, I've seen one of this design. So this is something they come along with, trying to prevent this, and I think I'll probably end up going ahead and putting some weld on this one too, just to give it some assurance. But let me get set up to weld it and clean it, and we'll take care of that. Okay, what I'm going to do before I weld is just check the run out on this arm and try to get it as close as I can. That's kind of the high point. Okay, I think I'm going to stop right there. It's within about 2, 3. No, 2. It's within 2. Now I'm just going to set this back up in there and kind of trim it. I just got a little sloppy with my weld. I think that's probably close enough. It's not a big deal, but we don't want it to be hogging out the hole there. Just a little bit of weld slipped over onto the shaft there. And what I'll do also is I'll clean the plate part up just to make sure that it's not going to be gouging. The shaft isn't going to go anywhere if I get a little bit of, if I get it on the lathe a little bit, because it's hard. I'll just pull out a little bit and make sure that surface is flat. And just a little more. We'll put a thrust washer there anyway, just to make sure. I think that's good. Okay, I think we're done. It's a view of the bottom there. Like I say, I got kind of a lumpy area out here from the weld a couple places, and I did get a couple of beads on the shaft there, so I just went ahead and stuck it in the lathe, trued it up very good, and then cut those lumps off and made sure that this was flat to the surface there like it was. And that should fix our problem. Let's go ahead and put it in over here. Okay, there's the stop. And again, here is the to the stop position. And as you kick down, that's about where it's going to be. It's probably just going to get there, but it's not going to come on up around. So that should fix that problem. I don't know whether it's really worth my time and effort to fill this in with aluminum weld and cut it back down. It's not in jeopardy of going through the casting or anything like that. So I think all I'll do is trim a very thin washer, something like this one. This doesn't fit there, but something of that caliber that I can just put on there I'll probably just have to make one real quick on the lathe just to make sure that everything is moving the way it should. But it's not like this thing moves all the time. It's just moving when you kick it. That's it. So between this boss here, and the side cover where it goes through with the seal, it should maintain its place pretty well. So okay, let me maybe I'll just go ahead and put that back together. Okay, this particular one is a little bit different than the others. It actually has a washer right here that slides up over the what would you call that? Scrolling. Anyway, that goes on there, and then you've got your spring that's on the gear. Now, this type is different than this type. It doesn't have that washer. And this thing can be put really in any position with that, because you can move the spring around to go into the groove here. But once we've got that on, then you've got your half shells here that go around, and then you've got a snap ring. And that holds all that together. Okay, I was having a little trouble here, but this goes on there. This is the one that's kind of beat up, and then the spring goes on with the long tail. That's what I was having a problem with. Down, and then it hooks into the hole here, and then you've got the collar with the spring slot on it, like that. And then we've got a thrust washer and our snap ring. Just like that. And then when it goes all into the case, you want to line up the spring in the spring slot and make sure that the stop here comes up against the stop here. So you can move this spring wherever you need it. And there it is, and then you give this one wrap. I'm not going to do it because I've got to take it off, but you make one wrap and hook it behind the pin, and then you're good to go. So that ought to do her. That ought to fix our issue with it chewing on our case there. Okay guys, that about wraps it up. It's just a little short video on a very common problem with the early Yamaha AT1 CT-1 and probably DT125s. I personally have never noticed it on those, but I haven't dealt with near as many as I have the others. So anyhow, thanks for going along on the ride. See you next video.